Oh, today is a very blessed day. I am just honoured and privileged to introduce you to one of my wonderful, amazing, extraordinary friends, Bex, who's also a fellow coach at the Coaching Institute with me. And she's actually from Invercargill, which is why she's all wrapped up today. Aren't you, Bex? You know, for all those international listeners, what do you mean Invercargill? Well, we've got two islands in New Zealand. We've got the North Island and the South Island. And my buddy Bex is all the way down at the bottom where it's bloody freezing. Let's just keep it real. It's bloody freezing down there. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Bex.
So I'm here in Invercargill in the South Island, but I'm originally from the North Island, from Gisborne, where it's sunny Gisborne. So very, very different.
How long have you been in Invercargill for?
I have been in Invercargill now. At the end of this year, it'll be 3 years.
So you've been freezing for 3 years? Is what
I've been freezing for 3 years, still have not, climatized. So.
So really you're a North Island girl, is what?
I'm a North Island girl.
Yes. Not that I've got anything against anyone in the South Island. So today why I've asked you, and I just want to say thank you before we begin, in case I don't actually say thank you later on, because I actually just chucked you under the bus the other day, which was probably just yesterday, let's be honest. And we were having a conversation, and Bex is part of a journaling group that we do every morning that I'm privileged to be part of. And we were having a conversation. And so she reads a card for us each morning and then speaks some Māori to us in the morning. And I always feel very centered and very balanced when I get to hear you in the room. And I thought, actually, it's Matariki weekend. Like, we need to put you on the podcast. So we're going to bump Mondays and we're actually going to put you on the podcast. And you were like, Ish, I'm wondering, like, wonder no more. So today we're really, well, when I say we, me and my wife are really grateful because we're actually going to talk all about Matariki. We've just celebrated that here in New Zealand it's the first time ever that I've known about it. Is that correct? Like,
yeah, it is. And as of Friday, what's that? What was that date? Well, anyway.
Yeah, whatever date that was.
Yeah, whatever that was.
24th.
The 24th of June, it officially became a public holiday here in Aotearoa. Even though Matariki was celebrated right up to the 1940s. Now, I have no idea as to why it stopped, but it got revitalized again in the year 2000. And so, we have been celebrating it, but it hasn't been made like a public arena. It hasn't been in the public arena until then, until the 24th.
So it actually was celebrated to the 1940s. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Look, I have to be honest again, because look, as a business owner, when we were told that we were going to celebrate Matariki and that was going to be a day off, this was my thinking, right? And I'm embarrassed to say it, but I like to keep things real on this because this is all about real women, achieving real results in the real world. And so me and Sam as business owners were like, oh my gosh, here we go again. The wages have been hiked up. We've now got another public holiday. And there was resistance for me about that. So I was like, why are we having another holiday? And it actually, when we spoke about this yesterday, and I spoke to another girlfriend on Friday, and my understanding then, which I'm, pretty ignorant about, which I'm embarrassed about, was that it's actually Māori New Year. And that really hit me hard. I thought, we're celebrating Māori New Year, we celebrate Diwali, we celebrate Chinese New Year, but we don't actually embrace our own culture here in New Zealand. And just naive, I guess, I didn't even think that you would have a separate New Year. And so now I'm all about, we need to embrace this as a culture and educate as many people as we can out there, because if I don't know this, how many other people don't know this? So has that always, I'm not always been the case, but why are we putting more emphasis on other cultures in New Zealand and not the Māori culture?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, Ursh, because of the fact that, when you look at New Zealand, you know, we state that our languages we speak here are, you know, New Zealand or English language, Māori, te reo, and sign language. And, you know, Matariki is part of that. It's part of that language. Language is our identity. It identifies who we are as Māori. So, yeah, it's a good question as to why.
I just find that, I find it disgusting.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, why now? And so many years too late. This should have been, it should never have gone away. I had no idea, again, it was celebrated up to 1940. So, yeah, so thank you for being on the podcast, because I think the value and the content that we can help most of New Zealanders, but we've also got a lot of fellow Australians that will be listening to this that are really interested in it. And so I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and being so passionate about sharing this message, and te reo to your coaching clients, to the people that you're helping through this journey. And we spoke about this yesterday, and I was saying that most people that I come into contact with would love to learn to speak Māori. And one of the reasons that I personally don't speak Māori, or I haven't signed up for a school or night classes or anything like that, was actually judgment. So when I grew up going to school just a few years ago, right, just a few, and like Kapahaka was just starting to come out, and it was wonderful because I loved the cultural side of it, and we were making poise, and all of a sudden you had to speak Māori, but if you didn't say the word properly, you would be judged. And this is just me. I don't know if that's other people's experience, and I felt judged for not having it right. So the judgment then caused me to feel embarrassed. So then I didn't want to learn how to speak Māori at all. And as I spoke to you yesterday, I've got family in Rotorua, Māori and Samoan, and when we go to funerals or anything like that, I sit there and I actually have no idea about what is being said. And that's where the shame comes from for me, because I think, you know, I don't have Māori in me, but this is my country. It's an embarrassment. So I think that what you do for people, you know, here in New Zealand and also in Australia, is a wonderful gift. Is, you know, I've never been in an opportunity or been with someone like you where I can learn to speak te reo and not even stress about getting it right or wrong. Like I can mess it up and it's like, Bex, was that right? And you're like, it doesn't matter. Like at the forefront, why are you worried so much about the pronunciation? Why don't you think about the words from your heart and live and breathe what feels natural to you? And I think that's the most unique thing I've seen. And perhaps there's more people out there that are doing what you're doing. And, you know, I'd love to, before we get into what is Matariki, why you do what you do. Because like for me and Sam, I know you've got a 6-week course coming up, and you know our name is number 1 on that list, so you make sure before it goes out that Ish and Sam, and I've got a couple of girls already from the gym that are like, Ish, I don't want to miss out. So, you know, yeah, just please just share why you are going back to, I guess it's basics. And I don't know if that's an insight, it's not meant to be, but it's, I want to learn the basics because I feel lost. I feel disgraced in myself, I guess, because I'm not participating, but thanks to you, I will be. So yeah, please share that with us.
Yeah, it's exactly like what you were saying. You know, a lot of Māori grow up, and the whole, you know, being taught and stuff like that. Sometimes it's not, you know, that it wasn't done, and that goes back to like my grandmother. You know, they were stopped from speaking te reo in school. You know, they were stopped in doing the cultural stuff.
Isn't that, you know, when we think that's the reality, right?
Yeah, that's the reality.
Their language was taken away from them.
Yeah. It was. And that's in the school. Some, you know, but at home they were still speaking it. But some have some carried on, and some just thought, well, what's the use and I suppose I still think that today. It's what, what's the use teaching our kids Māori in school if they come home to, parents that don't understand it. So that is why for many years they were trying to get the kohanga reo, the kura kaupapa, where you start young with te reo and you go all the way through the school system learning te reo. And it's the only way that it could be. Unfortunately, some of us, we didn't do that.
Yeah. Can you just share with us your background on that? Like, so who are you? Where are you from? And why now? Why now for Becs?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I grew up with my grandmother who every day I heard te reo. I heard it and I loved it. The reason why I loved it is because it's poetic. The way that words are pronounced, it's so poetic, and I loved hearing it. But when it came to writing it, not so much, because it's back to front. But I loved hearing it, and I grew up with that. But I was a typical. As soon as I hit teenage years, I was like, nah, I don't want to carry on. Why should I do this? And she's taking me off to all the cultural, let's go to the land courts and let's, Māori land courts. And I was like, I'm not interested in any of this. But the thing is that, I grew up with it with my grandmother, and then I left in North Island and came down to the South Island at 17, and I lost it. I didn't have it around me as much as what I did growing up. So therefore, why now? Because I feel it. I feel that passion inside of me, and it's about me just. I want to return back to my roots, which in Māori is, hoki ki taku ukaipo, returning back to my roots, returning back to what I grew up with. But I'm going there with a love and compassion for the fact that, I may say some words wrong, but it doesn't, it doesn't matter, because it's when you say the words, and like you say, it's an energetic feeling, you feel it. So it's about the feeling. So I suppose that's why when I was growing up and people were all like, no, say the word right, and you get these people that are going on and on about it, and for me it's just like, they're giving it a go. Why are you being so hard, harsh?
And why do you think people are so, like, it's really good to know, well, I mean, I'm sorry that was your experience, obviously, but like being Māori and even knowing then that you weren't perfect and you weren't saying the right words, it's almost like alienated you from your culture, because you weren't delivering what was the expectation. And that made you shut down and move away from your culture. Yeah, most definitely. And that's the thing. And not only that, because my grandmother was the first one to start kohanga, one of the founders in kohanga reo in Te Tairāwhiti in Gisborne, everyone had this expectation that I should be so fluent in Māori. Yes. And it wasn't the case. Because I chose to say, I don't want to learn. I don't want to learn this. Because if I went to school, it was hard, because a lot of people were saying, well, even when I was going to school, well, why do we have to learn it? Yeah. What do we have to learn this for? Why are we being told we have to learn this? So for me, it was just like, I picked that up too, and I was like, yeah, you're right. But I couldn't get away from it because of my grandmother. So it was at home. Yeah, because at home, that's all we heard. And as you reflect now on your upbringing with her, and we're talking yesterday about the energy with her in the garden. And, I'd just love for you to share part of that journey with us as well, because that really touched my heart yesterday. And I thought, wow, this is why it's so important that you continue the beautiful work that you've been doing and expand on that. So if you would love, do you mind sharing,
Yeah,
the
well, it's,
energy.
you
in
know,
the garden.
it's that whole thing about words are powerful, you know, they're powerful. So, and that's what I mean by in regards to with the Maori words, as soon as it's being said, you can feel the energy, you can feel when word, you know, the way that the words are being spoken, the tonality, it's all in there. And the thing is like our tipuna, like my grandmother, they knew about the energetic fields, they knew about the vibration, the frequency, they knew all about that, and that's because of the connection we have to the land. You know, the connection we have to everything around us, the connection we have to other people as one, and the connection most of all to our, you know, to ourselves inside.
What a blessing to have that upbringing, and now to be able to tap into that,
Yeah,
and be able to deliver that to the world. Like, that's the stuff that lights me up. And you can see when you're speaking about it, the passion just comes from within. And yeah, so thank you for the work that you do, and the work that you're going to, you know, now be introducing. And, you know, it's such an exciting year for you. And I'm just so blessed that we've actually, you know, aligned, and we've come into each other's paths, rightly or wrongly, Bex, but you know, like, I think it was wrongly yesterday you were saying to me. So let's chat then about what is Matariki? Like, let's go, because I know that you've prepared a little bit of a slideshow for us today, and I would just love for you to bring that up for us now. Now, what do I need? Do I need to change you to the host over here? So if you don't mind, we'll just start with that.
yeah.
And let's get that going.
Well, Matariki, it's actually been shortened down from the actual full name of what it is. And Matariki is it's all about, Matariki is when Tawhiri Mātia, which is one of the atua of Māoridom, it starts off with the creation story where they separated their parents. Rangi, who's the sky father, and Papa Tuanuku, who's the earth mother. And yeah, the brothers didn't like the fact that they had no space, there was nothing but darkness, and they wanted to separate their parents. So the brothers, one of the brothers, old Tane, he lay down on his back and he forced his parents apart. Now, because of that, Tawhiri Mātia wasn't happy with that.
Yeah.
So because of his way of showing that, because he was so angry about it, he turned around and he pulled out his eyes and he crushed them in his hands and he threw them up into the chest of his father, of Ranginui. And so it's really about the Matariki, is that it's his eyes sitting in the chest of his father. And so Matariki for us is all about the harvest. It's all about, you know, it's reading stars. Is it astronomy? You know, so our tipuna were astronomers. You know, they read by the stars. That's how we travelled here to Aotearoa, reading the stars. So Matariki is all about the new year. So there's different constellations that our tipuna understood what they were for. But yeah, Matariki is about the Māori New Year.
So I actually don't even know where to start with that. Like, how many people would even know that that was a thing?
Yeah.
You know? And so in Māori culture, when you say that, you know, it's all about the stars, can you share a bit more about that? Like, that fascinates me.
Yeah, well, the Matariki, you know, in English, it's known as, here we go with this word, Pleiades, or
the P word.
Yeah, the P
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Or the seven sisters, in English. In Japanese, it's the Subaru.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
So is this a constellation?
yeah, this is a constellation of the Pleiades constellation. But we know it as Matariki because of the creation story. So we know it as Matariki. We refer to it as Matariki. Yeah. But it's a well-known constellation in each culture. Each culture has its own word for, Pleiades or the seven sisters.
See,
Yeah.
I had no. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Sam to change you to host, and then I'm going to get you to share your screen, because I believe that you've actually got some posts there that will help visually for people like moi understand a little bit better.
Yeah.
That would be great. So let us just move that host over. And can I just ask then, was this something that you were brought up with? So this was something that was really common, really normal?
Yeah, it was. Because it's the Māori New Year, it's a time of celebration. It's a time of remembering those who have passed. So we pay honor to our dead. And the stars all represent a different aspect of our environment, of the atmospheric conditions. And you'll see as we go through the slide how the different stars and how they're named appropriately goes along with, because I grew up with 7 stars. I never ever knew that there were 9. I don't even know when it changed to
I was going to
9.
say, when did they decide that? Like in 1940, did they add on 2 more, or what happened? But if you grew up, because you were young like me, right? If you grew up a couple of years ago, then they probably didn't. They've just been.
They'll be like 9, but for us it was 7. But scientists have, they're always testing, and they're always looking at things, and so we've found out that there's actually 9 instead of 7, and the 9 are the oldest and the youngest. They've been added, and it makes sense. It makes sense for Māoridom. It makes sense for the way that we think. So yeah, it was interesting to learn about them, but you'll see why. Yeah.
Now I'm curious, what day does Matariki fall on then, and how do you base that? And is this going to change every year, or?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like a lot of people have said, is there a certain day that it falls on?
Yeah.
Now, like I said, we celebrated Matariki, the public holiday as we spoke about, but Matariki is actually, Matariki starts to rise into our system, or into the sky. It rises at the end of May and goes through to July. So that means you can see Matariki from May to July. Matariki is, and that's the reason you see it, is because it's shining so bright. It is
and you don't just have to be in Invercargill to see this.
No. One thing I will say though is that it's different for different iwi because of where you're situated. So it depends on where you're situated, as well as to how you actually see Matariki.
So
you have to use a telescope
accordingly or not? Yes, so you do need it. I was going to say, so could I go out tonight and have a look and say, now I know?
Yeah, no, you have to use a telescope. Yeah.
This is fascinating. Like, see, no idea. No idea. All right, so let's just have a look then at what we've prepared today, and we've hopefully moved you over to the host.
Right.
Now I feel I need to buy a telescope.
Here we go. Or are we going? Or what's happening? Here we go.
Oh, technology.
Yeah, technology is right.
And is there, while we're getting the technology sorted, is there, I'll come back to that question, but just remind me, food. So can we just make that a little bit bigger with the corner down the bottom? Like you've got the little arrows down the bottom. Yep. Can we make that bigger?
Yeah, I'm going to do the slide itself.
Yeah, look at that. I love that.
So I've always known it as Matariki, but because of this the new public holiday, and because of the celebration on Friday, they brought in a new term, which is Manawatia Matariki, which is Happy Māori New Year, or celebrating Matariki.
So that was
Yeah.
actually one of my questions, is do we say happy? So it's actually Happy Māori New Year.
Yeah.
Now I think you need to say that again slowly so I can practice.
Manawatia
Manawatia
a Matariki.
Matariki. Matariki.
Riki.
Matariki. Thank
Aye.
you, Sam's. I wanted to deliberately get it wrong, so see if you're going to pick on me. No. Wonderful. Okay, so that's now what it's now being changed to.
Yeah, well, it's still going to be known as Matariki, but they put in Manawatia for the celebration of Matariki.
I really like that. Manawatia Matariki. Nice.
Yeah.
See, you're still learning. You're teaching me right now. I'm going to be an expert soon.
I like you. I'm still learning as well. Like I see, there's 2 extra stars in here that I've never heard of, so I had to go research them as well.
But this is why I love working with you, Bex, because like you're teaching me things every morning at the moment, which is fantastic. I'd have no idea. And I think it's just we need to invest more time and energy into understanding our New Zealand culture.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you get it wrong too. That makes me feel well, it just makes me feel human, like I don't feel like I need to be scolded by an expert every time I get it wrong. And you encourage me to be able to speak Māori in the morning. So I love that.
I love the fact it takes pressure off me too.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there though that are like me that would love to be able to speak, and it's not that I need to be fluent in Māori at all, but it's even the welcomes, even the as you're saying with part of your course, it's the colours and the vowels, and having the basics, counting, all of those things is so important.
Yeah, which is part of the course. The 6
Yeah.
weeks course that I'm going to be putting together is the basics.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. Okay.
As you know, as we discussed before, it's the Pleiades or 7 sisters. Matariki is like the mother figure of the cluster.
So it's a female. Oh, and now we've stopped. We're frozen, Bex. Now what's happened with our Wi-Fi right now?
But I'm just going by what I grew up with, and that is mother and, well, it wasn't 8, it was 6 back then. Who's 6 children. So she depicts the mother figure of the cluster, and she's connected. When we look at Matariki, she'll be the brightest star. She's the biggest and the brightest star.
Oh,
Go mothers.
Yeah, I'm like, bring on those women.
She's connected to our health and well-being. So when we look at her, she reminds us, to set our intentions in that for our health and well-being.
Do you see that? I would never know that. And now, it's our responsibility and our opportunity to act with intention. When Matariki comes around every year, like, thank you. Even when we had really quite an in-depth conversation yesterday about this, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So we could be celebrating this and, running workshops at the club or, throughout New Zealand so that people could set their intention around their health and well-being. That's beautiful.
Yeah, which is what I like, which is why I thought, oh, look, the Mind Fitness mentor, you own a gym. Here we go, Matariki. Look up at Matariki, and she'll remind you to set the intention for your health and well-being.
Because we quite often ignore that, and we put other people, and especially as women, we put other people's needs first. And if the woman is starting, from that new year, she needs to be the leader.
Yeah, definitely.
And therefore, and beautiful. Oh, I'm loving this, Bex. This is awesome. This is like my own lesson for me.
So we have Matariki, who's the mother, and then we have Pohutukawa. Now, Pohutukawa is the new star.
Just so you know, I can say Pohutukawa.
Oh, well done.
See, there we go. That's another word that you can add for me, okay?
So this is, I had to research on Pohutukawa because this is new for me, but it makes sense because she's connected to those who have passed away in the year. And when I did the research, she's all about taking those who have passed away, our dead,
Yes.
and she leads them to the underground, you know, to the final resting place. And then she puts them into the star. She puts them as stars into the sky. And so it's a reflection for us to remember those who have passed away. So when we look up and see the stars, we are seeing our tipuna, we're seeing our ancestors who are always watching us. And that's why I always say I am never alone. How can you not be alone with everyone, you know, with all your tipuna, all the stars in the sky? You can't be alone.
This
You just
is,
can't be alone.
you know, like I love what we're learning right now, because, you know, what that just, and, you know, it almost brings a tear to my eye, because New Zealand have never had this. And when I look at Coco, you know, like Mexico and the movies being made, and it's like, actually, we do have this here in our own country right now. And, you know, I'm just going to put it out there right now, Bex, but I can see that, you know, next year we're going to be putting a retreat together in Invercargill. I'll bring a whole handful of people down, because this stuff is the stuff that me and you rock out on. Like, we love the spiritual side of connecting, right? And when you just spoke to me right then, what came up for me is like, if we ran a 2-day workshop and we applied these principles, how it, like, I'm just getting goosebumps. So we're obviously in the right place at the right time together. Or I'm going to bring you up to Auckland, whatever. It's probably better for me to bring you up to Auckland. But, you know, because we have such a big gap, how many people would love the opportunity, you know, like this creates, I just, you know, when you were speaking, I was just thinking of the words love and connection.
Very much. And that's what it's about. It's about that. It's about the love for our tipuna, for, you know, our stars, our whitu. It's about the love for each other, and it's a connection to them, connection to the land, and connection to ourselves.
Oh, this is beautiful. We could talk about hours for this. Okay.
So the second star is Tupu Anuku.
Tupu Anuku.
Yeah, Tupu Anuku. And Tupu Anuku is associated with the food in the ground.
Oh, now we're talking about language. I'm loving, and now we're talking about the food.
Yeah. So Tupu Anuku is looked upon, you know, in the month of May, because, like I said, you know, Matariki starts at the end of May, and that is when you know that the summer harvest is over, winter is near.
Ah, that's what you're talking about when you mention the harvest before, right?
Yeah. So Tupu Anuku, you know, let our tipuna know that, hey, you know, it's time to get ready to plant your winter veggies.
I love, yeah. You don't want to even know what my brain's thinking right now, because it's going Richter scale, because there's so many opportunities here, you know, like, because people can relate to their own.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to be drawn naturally to their own star, right? This is beautiful. Yeah. All right.
And then we have Tupu Arangi. One thing I must say too is that there is the feminine energy and there is the masculine energy. So one thing that we've always think within our culture is balance. It's all about balance. So our stars,
why am I not Māori, eh?
Are balancing.
So is that also emphasized when you were younger, or have you learned that older, when you've gone back home or when you've moved, like, or is that something you've been aware of? It was spoken about or not spoken about? Been
aware of it, and that's why in the coaching arena, it's all about balance for me, you know, and that's part of our health and well-being. That's part of our, you know, our mindfulness is that balance. So I've always been aware of the fact that the stars have been male and female to bring that balance. Yeah.
Amazing. Extraordinary. Oh, I'm thinking calendars and, you know.
Oh, these, yeah.
Yeah, and just having like, yeah. Oh.
So Tupu Arangi. Now,
because you've got the double A's.
Yeah. It's because I haven't got the macron. The macron is the line that goes above.
Yes.
The A. but because I don't know how to do that on here, I do it with the double.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that, because I wouldn't have understood that.
Yeah. So it's tupuarangi. So he's associated with the food that comes from the sky. You know, so you've got the birds, and you've got the berries and the fruits and the trees. And he is also very closely linked to the god of the forest, which is Tane Mahuta. You know, so he's closely linked to him as well.
Listening to the language, it's pretty.
We look to the star, we look to tupuarangi for, you know, to find inspiration for 5+ a day. We had our own 5+ a day.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting, right? And then all of a sudden things change, and it was, you know, it just blows my mind that you know, the people know the best, and then it's taken away.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's what I'm saying. You know, we had all this in place.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And that is
a good forum to do that. Yeah, brag away and celebrate away.
You know, and that is our tupuna were really clever. They were really clever. They knew, you know, that they knew what they were doing. They knew how to live, you know, the way that we all should be living. You know, they were clever.
Yeah.
Very clever.
And this is why the work that you do is so important. You know, like, and I mean, granted, I don't know a lot of people in the industry that are doing, especially from a coaching perspective, Bex, and potentially there are a lot of people, but I know for me personally that, you know, working with you, there's that relaxed, you know, not perfect attitude, there's the education, but most importantly for me, there's the passion. There's the passion of, you know, wanting to share your message to the world, because this is something that you truly live or try to live every single day, because none of us are perfect, right? And it's going, as you said, you say to me all the time, it's going back to your roots.
Yeah.
And it's being led back to your roots. This is where you need to be. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you. Okay.
So our 5th star is Waiti, and she is connected to the fresh water and the living creatures in the streams and the rivers and the lakes. And so this is the environmental star. Like she's telling us to make sure that we look after the fresh water. We look after everything to do with water. We're looking, you know, it's the environmental star. I call it the environmental star because when you think of YT, you think of environmentalists. You think of, you know, making sure that you are making sure that your environment is kept clean, especially the water, you know. Because
in New Zealand, we theoretically have an abundance of water, and now it's contamination, all the
and
corporates are coming in.
It's all come in,
exactly.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by our tipuna were clever. They made sure that those kind of things weren't going to happen.
It's so important this is celebrated. And also the education, you know.
So YT, she has a twin brother who is Waita.
There had to be twins, yes. All the twins out there will be excited. So YT, did you say Waita? Okay.
Yeah. So Waita is the twin brother of YT, and he's the same. He's about water, but he is associated with the ocean and all the food that is in the ocean. And he's the same. He's environmental, of course. He's the twin, but he's to do with protecting the creatures, you know, everything to do with the ocean, protecting the, you know, our whales, or everything that lives in the ocean. You know,
they knew, this is a thing, you know. The system was in place.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It wasn't just something that, you know, was thought of in regards to, you know, we'll name these stars and, you know, there was a structure. They had a structure. They knew how everything needed to work. And you know me, Ush, I always said, man, I don't like structure. you know,
Now look.
but now
Yeah.
when I look at
Mm.
this, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's in me. So why are you saying you don't like
Yeah.
structure? It is part of who I am.
And
And this
maybe,
seals it,
I was going to say, maybe the structure that you were following was not the structure from your heart.
Yes. And that's it, because all of this is from the heart, I
Yeah.
grab my heart as I say it,
Yes.
and that's it.
Now
Exactly.
you know this is this is where you belong. So now understanding that and appreciating that and receiving that, you know,
Yes.
that structure has changed for you. That's beautiful, beautiful. Okay, we're moving on to the big one now.
Yeah, we have Waipuna Arangi.
Waipuna Arangi.
Yeah. And the seventh star. So it's the same with, water, but it's connected to the rain. And Waipuna Arangi is all about that. It's water that pools in the sky, the water pools in the sky. Yeah. So same thing. When we look at Waipuna Arangi, it's a reflection, and for us to recognize how vital the rainfall is for us. It's a vital thing. It's not just something, because what does rain do for us? It waters our gardens.
Yep.
It fills our water tanks. It's awesome to walk in, although most of us put an umbrella up.
Yeah.
But it's awesome to, it's beautiful to have that falling on you.
It's just, it can also be cleansing, right? So if you're out in the rain and just feeling that and now understanding some meaning behind that, how much better is that? Like, that's just, to me, that's really deep.
Yeah. Very deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Oh, I'm loving this.
Yeah. Can't help but love this. And that's the thing, it touches the heart. So we have Ururangi.
Ururangi.
And he's connected to the wind. And his name means the winds of the sky. So that's what I mean by the fact that our tipuna, knew about the environment, and they knew about atmospheric conditions. Ururangi was all about forecasting the nature of the wind for the year to come. So
that's obviously important from harvesting point of view.
Yeah, the harvesting, especially harvesting, especially for the house. All of these stars are all about that. It's all for the harvesting. It's all for direction.
So there's no McDonald's then, eh?
No McDonald's.
Rely on McDonald's and there's no diabetes. Living
None
off
of
the land.
that.
Yeah.
None of that. It's live off the land. And that's my thing. That's what I want to do. I want to be self-sustainable. And that's my vision. That's where I want to go. That's where I want to head.
And I think that if more people did that, how more sufficient, like we just take things for granted, number one, but we're eating fruit and vegetables that are outside of season. Gut issues are on the rise, autoimmune's on the rise, diabetes is, number 3 killer right now. Like, there's all of these health concerns and conditions that have been introduced.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to do great things, girl.
And this is the last star, or the youngest star, and the other one that I had to actually research because I'd never heard of her, but once again makes sense. Her name is Hiwa Iterangi.
Hiwa Iterangi.
Yeah.
I might be a top student yet. It's going to be me.
She's final star, the youngest, and she's connected to the promise of a prosperous, of the season, of the year being very prosperous, very abundant. And so our tipuna would use the star to set their goals, set their desires, set their dreams. And she's also known as the wishing star, because that's what they're doing. They're wishing on Hiwa Iterangi, make sure our crop's good, and bring abundance to our families, and all of that. And that's what Hiwa Iterangi was. She was that. And one thing that I love about learning about these two stars, Pohutukawa and Hiwa i te rangi, is Pohutukawa is all about the past, the old cycle, you know, the year gone. And Hiwa i te rangi is all about the new year, you know, the new season, the new beginning. Yeah.
Oh, there's so many moments in this today that it's a lot to take in, you know, but it just touches your heart because it makes me, I don't want to cry, but it makes me sad that we don't know this.
Yeah.
Do you know that? Well, yeah, it does make me really sad that we haven't been brought up with this. And had we have been brought up more culturally aware and more sensitive and more open, who could we be right now as a nation? Do you know? Like it's that. Oh, I wasn't expecting that on the podcast today, Bec. So, oh yeah, we have a lot to learn. We have a lot, you know, we have a lot of growing, and I guess it comes down to forgiveness, and better late than never.
Yeah.
But you know, I can see why this is so crucial, that this is celebrated and recognized and implemented. And you know, in education institutions, it needs to be part of a curriculum. Like as a 52-year-old, I shouldn't just be learning about this stuff now.
Yeah.
It does make me sad that this has been ignored and pushed under the carpet for many, many years. And you know, after having in-depth conversation with you yesterday, and for you putting this together for us for today, it's like I never want to be that person that just pushes it under the carpet, because this is our New Zealand culture.
Yeah.
And if we could embrace that, even a fraction, you know, I just think we would show up as better people. I think that we would come more from a place of love and abundance, because I think sometimes we do forget. And sometimes, you know, we don't have direction, we don't have clarity, we don't, you know, have the belief system.
Yeah. And that's it. That's how, you know, our tipuna were. They were led, you know, by the environment. They were led by the stars. They were led by everything that our stars, you know, represent. And that's how they were led, you know, which is, like you say, it's very much from the heart space.
Yeah.
What I love about this is that the Māori New Year is in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
You know? So we get to celebrate a new year in the middle of the year. Why wait until the end?
Yes.
End of the year. Let's celebrate in the middle of the year. That's what I love about this.
Yeah,
So I get to celebrate this, and I get to celebrate New Year's at the end of the year. Love it.
Yeah. So it's like that midway point where we run a retreat. That's what, you know, and you can run the retreat and I'm just going to come, because it's like I just think it's a time in the middle of the year where people can escape. People can start to ground themselves. People can connect to the earth, you know, align with the stars, come from a place of love, abundance, and gratitude, and feel deeply connected.
Yeah.
And why would you not take up that opportunity? Like, you know, it's just stopping for 2 or 3 days where, you know, we can reflect and on, as you say, what's past, and now embrace what's coming with love, gratitude, and abundance.
Yeah, most definitely. Listen to those words.
Well, this really touches me. It's like, it is, when you think about it, it's such a lost opportunity. And, you know, this is why I'm so grateful for you doing this work and embracing this work. And, you know, yesterday when I just put it out there, I had no idea that we would come to such depth, is probably the only way I can explain it, and understanding of, if we continue to help, well, if we continue with the Matariki tradition and we go even deeper, then we're now in a position that we can change who we are being.
Yeah.
And that's so important because we get focused on living life and staying in the rat race. And the rat race is causing disease, it's causing tension, it's causing judgment. And that makes us feel like we're not connected to our core and who we are supposed to be. And by you spreading this message and providing the education in a way that, for me, feels safe, it comes from your heart to mine, it makes me feel like this is possible. I can incorporate this in who I'm being. I can incorporate this as part of my practice and part of my ritual. And knowing you is like once a year connecting and making this even deeper and heartfelt for me. And then every year it just becomes richer. Every year it becomes deeper. And it's that stopping point to say, hey, yay, this is my time to shine, stop, reflect, and help inspire and motivate other people to come back to who they truly are at their core.
Yeah.
Because I think that we're all living in our head, Bex, and prior to the podcast, I was certainly living in my head, just thinking, wow, this is going to be an education. And I just want to say thank you for making me operate in a heart space and deepening my awareness of what Matariki is all about. And I'm super excited that next year we're going to have a practice around this but it's a journaling practice, and it's a workshop that I believe so many people will want to be a part of because they want to feel that connection. They want to belong. And you've given them the opportunity to be able to step up and do what they feel. Well, for me, I'm going to speak, it makes me feel connected, and it makes me be really proud to be a Kiwi.
Yeah, most definitely. And thank you for allowing me to have that space to share this. Like you say, it is a passion, and I don't know if it's that way because I've got older like a wine and now I'm and now the passion is really starting to want to come out, but it's who I am, and it's like what I say, I'm returning back to my roots and returning back to the core of who I am. I don't know why I was running away from it for so long, to tell you the truth, when all I had to do was look up in the stars.
And I guess that's what makes you really unique about teaching, the basic te reo, because you're not coming from that place. You're coming from the place of, you don't have to be perfect. We all fall off the rails. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to do the best that we can with the tools that we have. And when we align with the right people, I believe that's where the magic happens.
Most definitely.
And we say we've aligned for a reason. Like, we've been put together for a reason. Now I understand my reason and why you're in my will. It's like, wow, like you're here to teach me and to help ground me. And like I am into everything that you're into, but from a spiritual side, connecting with New Zealand, the earth of New Zealand, the sky of New Zealand. Like, what greater gift that you're giving people right now. I mean, it really hits me in my heart, because I know that the work that you do and the work that you're going to continue to do and expand upon is going to provide such a significant difference to so many people. And, you've mentioned that, you're also going to be looking at running for helping kids with te reo, online courses that you're going to be doing. And the one that you're working on at the moment is your 6-week course. So, maybe, because remember, before it sounds out, I'm going to be, me and Sam have our name, because, like, I'm going to be calling you out if you don't put me on top of that list. And I know that we've already got 5 people external of the podcast that have been pushing, and you just haven't, prioritized it and made the time. And now, you're really committed to helping as many people as you can with te reo. And, tell us how we can connect with you and what your vision is and what you're going to be starting to focus on and prioritize right now.
And that's the thing. It's like you say, I'm you know, I wasn't even looking at any of this, to tell you the truth. And so I'm just starting to put together the course and start to actually look at doing this the way that, you know, the way that it deserves to be done. And in regards to business, I'm still learning that side of it. I'm going to be honest. And in regards to getting a hold of me, I'm on Facebook, and that's all I know.
Yeah. And so when we look at, because we spoke about your course that you're wrapping up or finishing, and is that going to be a 4-week or 6-week course?
It's looking like it's going to be 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to rush things. I want to, you know, I want to make sure that like we've just learned, that it is nice and calm, and it is a safe space, and as you know, just with this presentation alone, I know there's going to be a lot of, you know, there's going to be a lot of interaction just with what I'm putting together. And it's not just looking, it's also saying te reo. It's you know, you're going to be saying it, and you get to feel what I feel when I say te reo, and get to hear what I hear when people say, oh my gosh, the Māori language is just so beautiful. You know, so yeah, it's going to be a 6 weeks course. Yeah.
And are we looking at, or what am I actually, I'll get you to switch me back over to host here. And we're looking at doing this in the next 2 weeks or the next 4 weeks?
I'm going to be looking at doing this in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah,
just wrapping it up, and you know, because I'm not really I'm pretty proud of what I did for the presentation, but I'm not really tech savvy, so I'm still in there, still getting used to it. But now that you've said that, I'm like, yep, okay, in 4 weeks I'll have it.
Yeah. And well, because when we were speaking about it yesterday, you've actually already got the framework. So that's what I was like, you know, you've got the framework there, and people they're in now. They want to jump in. And it's like, if you ran your first session, as we said, and, you know, I don't know if you've changed from this, it's like looking at like the 4 to 6 week program is going to be basically based on around 45 minutes to an hour run via Zoom. So it's going to be open to anybody and everybody. It's going to be run one of the nights at around either the 7 or 8 o'clock at night, New Zealand time. So people are able to jump on board, but also if they've got family members that want to jump on board. So it's not just, you know, like you said, like me and Sam can jump on together, but there's also mums and dads out there that, hey, let's make a family night every Monday or Tuesday, whichever course, whichever time we're going to run it, is that you can jump on and you could do, you know, the 6 week basic te reo course. I just think it's, you know, aroha with Bex, but it's, you know, just putting it out there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
And it's an opportunity for people to come together around Matariki and with no shame, with no judgment, with being completely novice, you know, maybe learning the basics, understanding some colours. Like you said yesterday, we're just going to start with the vowels, and that's going to be over 1 or 2 weeks. Like that made me feel really calm, because I was like, at the end of it, you know, like, I don't want to just be standing there and you're going to throw all this stuff at me and it's going to be really confusing and I'm going to be made to look stupid. But, you know, and you were saying potentially put people into breakout rooms so that we would speak the words and we go into a breakout room, get familiar with 1 or 2 vowels, 3 or 4 vowels, and then, you know, come back the following week and learn some colours, and then potentially looking at numbers, because, you know, the colours is all about using the vowels with the right pronunciation, you were saying. And see, that just gave me like peace, and I was like, I can do that. And so, you know, I'm going to welcome anyone. Please reach out and we'll hopefully be able to attach the link, because like you, Bec, so the whole social media thing and YouTube thing is a little above my pay grade. So I think we've done well, you know, FYB to both of us today. But it'll be a lovely opportunity for us to connect again, and for you to be able to spread your gift to people that are interested in understanding the Māori culture, understanding, how to speak the language, what's involved, and starting at a really, not even a basic, it is a basic level, it's not even intermediate. So it's for those people really that want to understand in a judgment-free zone, feel really safe and be clunky, not be perfect, and also to connect with someone and learn from someone that is coming from the heart.
Yeah. Otherwise you go to a tertiary place to learn it, and it's just like when you're in school, everything is compressed. It's so you've got to learn it there and then, and then you go away and you think, oh, what did I learn? Because you haven't been given that space to learn it. So that's why I love the fact that the course is going to be done the way that you explained it.
I really want to say thank you for showing up today and for delivering with such love and such passion. And I know that, even putting this little slideshow together for us was a big stretch for you, as it is for me. Like, you're one step ahead of me. Like, I have no idea how to do that. So I'm celebrating and acknowledging you. And I know that there's so many people that are going to share this message. And, I would love for people, especially if they're watching the YouTube version of this, even the podcast, is please ask any questions that you have, and, be a cool person and start validating my buddy here, because this is the first time she's ever done a live interview, or a live podcast, I should say. Is that correct?
It is, yeah.
Well, the good news is it's my second one. And look at how, all I hear from my heart is you have a gift. And today you just provided phenomenal, extraordinary value to so many people that potentially had no idea about what Matariki is and why it is celebrated. And the insights that we've received today are transformative. Like, this can transform the way we think, which means we're taking different actions, which means we're having different outcomes.
Yeah.
Just by listening to one podcast and by you putting a beautiful slideshow together. So from the bottom of my heart, I'd love to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm just going to leave it to you to close today. So whatever you'd love to finish on would be beautiful.
So the way that I was brought up in regards to learning narratives, Māori narratives, we learned a lot, like kapahaka, through music. We learned a lot through our songs. So Matariki has a song as well. And I'm just going to sing the song. I was going to do guitar, but then I had to end up way back there when I was practicing, because
it doesn't matter. You can bring out the guitar. Go grab the guitar.
I have to be way back here.
It's okay. We can still hear you shuffling on your little chair there. It wouldn't be the same without the guitar, would it?
Well, I was happy with it. Matariki, Matariki, e ara e. Te mātahi o te tau, te kohinga whetu i te umao. Rangi nui, e piata ta mai ana, whakatata i te rangi, e tohu ana i te tauhou Māori e. Ko tupu anuku, ko tupu arangi, ko waiti waita. Waipuna rangi, ururangi e. Ko pō utukawa, ko hiwa i te rangi, ngā whetua tāhua. O Matariki e, ara e. So the English words for that song is Te Matariki.
You can bring tears to my eyes twice today. I don't understand that. That's just crazy. Far out. Wow. I told you before I'm feeling a little bit fluey. Why are you going to my sinuses work with even harder? Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, please, sorry. Yeah, share the English version.
The English version is Te Matahi o Te Tau is the first month of the year, so the new year. Te Kohinga Whitu is the collection of the stars. I te uma o Rangi Nui in the chest of Rangi Nui, Sky Father. E piata ata mai ana, they shine bright. Whaka ata ata I te rangi as a reflection in the sky. E tohu ana I te tauhou Māori e. That's a sign for us to know that it's the Māori New Year.
Oh, Bex, is this just, it's mind-blowing. That's the only way I can explain it. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your gift on my podcast. I feel really, really privileged to be able to be part of this today. So thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
I think it could be a regular thing every 3 months to update us what's going down in the old Bex world.
I think I have no choice in that matter.
Look, I think today your message it's just beautiful. And I'm so grateful and so blessed that not only are you in my world, but that you just delivered from the heart. And, you know, like it wasn't easy for you to come on today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's just, it is just, what you gave today was extraordinary and I'm so grateful. So thank you, honey, and we look forward to catching up because we got stuff to talk about.
I'm sure.
My brain's just going crazy. Wait till Michelle hears about it. All right, big hugs. Thank you for being on the Mind Fitness Mentor, and I look forward to catching up later.
Yes, thank you.
All right, bless you.
Much love.
And right back at you.